Okay, I am doing Freedom in the Galaxy here. I'm going to do a quick playthrough. I kind of laugh about that. It's not quick. It's 20 turns. And it's 20 turns. It's a fairly long. It's quite a long game. Actually, I've only played it once before. Solo. I've never played this opposed. And I doubt I will ever play this game opposed. Mainly because I have Star Wars Rebellion. I was going to do Android, by the way, but I changed my mind. I'll get to that in a second why I did that. But this is Freedom in the Galaxy is the SPI Avalon Hill game. That's about this first Star Wars movie, basically, and what they projected the Star Wars movies will be about, which is pretty interesting because this came out before Empire Strikes Back. So you can clearly see here that how they made things in this game was based on what they saw in Star Wars, and what came out afterwards. For example, the Emperor and things they didn't know about, so they do some interesting things there. So this very much has a Star Wars feel. It's about a galactic empire that there's a rebellion against, and so that's what the game's about, and it's a character-driven game. We have all these characters over here. I haven't flipped over the backsides, but they have their pictures here, and there's all kinds of information about them, each of the characters, and actually the planets and everything. So it's a very rich kind of game in terms of the storytelling aspects of it. I very much like the game. However, it has some problems that maybe I'll talk about at some point. Well, I will talk about at some point. So anyway, the game starts off. The Empire controls the galaxy. Take a look at the map here. I really like the map. I think it's kind of cool how it's done. So this is a system, and that denotes the system. And then there can be a number of planets around them, and the planets are these rings. So in this case, there's 3 planets around the system, and the planets can have a number of different locations on them. Like there's 2 locations on this planet, 2 on this planet, and just 1 on this planet. And there's a lot of information: how big it is, what type of environment it is. Is it urban? Is it wild? That kind of thing. And then there's the loyalty track, which is the big one, and it shows what kind of loyalty to the Empire that planet is. So there's other information. I won't go into all of it. There's actually a lot on each one. And this is a big, you look back, this is a big galaxy with tons of planets, and definitely gives this sense of, a galaxy, which I really like. And I like this as opposed to Star Wars Rebellion, which seems much smaller in comparison, although it really isn't that much smaller when you break it down. But anyway, so there are some groups of rebels, and this is, like I said, character-driven game. And there's groups of rebel characters, and they start out one in each of these 4 systems. And their goal is to turn these planets into rebellion, and they need to get so many by the end of the game. And there's different points for planets depending on their importance. And if they do that by at any point, if they get, I think it's 26 victory points, which is, depending on the value of the planets, can be, a number of planets. If they do that before the 20 turns, they win the game. If they don't, they lose. They can also, the Imperial player can also win if they find and destroy the rebel base and there are no planets in rebellion. I don't know. I'm sure maybe I should pursue this strategy as the Imperial player. I'm not sure if they need to do that though. But anyway, so that's kind of the game. There's a resource track and different. You get money from taxation. Primarily, the Imperial player does to build troops and do other things, and the Rebel player can get money from events, and then if they put planets in rebellion, they get money, and eventually they can spend that money if they reveal their secret base and build piles of troops to, kind of go off and pursue a military campaign. So, yeah, that's kind of the basis of the game. It's a fairly complex game in that there's a few sections of the rules that are really kind of dense and a little difficult to understand. Mainly that's how planets get into rebellion, what that means. And there's like these states of, well, it's rebellion, but not controlled, or it's, in rebellion, but the rebellion's being stopped, and all these kinds of things. And it's really kind of overblown, kind of I won't say a mess. I mean, there's a reason the rules are like that, but it can really kind of put you off a little bit on how the game plays. In general, though, the game flows pretty easily. I mean, basically, missions are going to be performed by these characters. You're going to draw from this action deck to see if they're successful. And if they're successful, that will affect what happens on these planets. You can I've kind of put the main missions you'll be doing for the most part, which is, if you can go into here, we have a coup, scavenge for possessions, diplomacy, that'll be happening a lot. Gain characters, that'll be happening quite a bit for the rebels until there's no more characters. Summon sovereign and start rebel camp. These are kind of the main missions that will happen. The Empire has a few more, but the Empire, it takes them a bit. They start with far fewer characters, and they're all kind of spread out. And really, you need to gather characters together into groups to really be successful at doing anything. So it really takes a few turns for the Imperial player to get groups together and be able to do things. So right off the bat, the rebels can do stuff, and the Empire's kind of got to spend a couple of turns kind of getting groups together. So, all right. So I was going to say, why did I decide to do Freedom in the Galaxy over Android? Well, I went and saw the new Star Wars movie. I saw that yesterday. And my God, I mean, it was such a terrible movie. I'm like, I got to wash the taste out of my mouth. I was going to do the Rebellion again, but I had just done Star Wars Rebellion. So I figured I would do Freedom in the Galaxy, just to kind of get myself, back into the idea of an actual real, kind of a war game about a galactic rebellion, and not that crap fest that was The Last Jedi. Don't see it. I mean, don't see that movie. It's just, it's terrible. It's beyond terrible. I mean, I guess maybe I should do a video about why I think it's so terrible, but I mean, Jesus. Well, I mean, I'll give it one thing. It's a nice looking movie, but I mean, so what? Nice looking movie, it's so shallow in every other regard that So anyway, I wanted to do a sci-fi war game. And like I said, I've already done Rebellion relatively recently, so figured I'd do Freedom in the Galaxy, throw my mind into this, put the galaxy into revolt, or crush it, which I tend to find that's more the likely case here with this game. But, like I said, I've only played it once, and so I'll give it a go here, and we'll see how it works. I'll go through the sequence and play. Unfortunately, this doesn't have a printed out sequence and play on a player aid sheet. But basically, not basically, but we're going to go through a galactic stage where the Imperial's going to tax and get resource points. You're going to buy stuff. You're going to flip over this strategic assignment. The Empire is very limited on where it can go. So in this first turn, Province 1 to Province 2. So the Empire, there's some little special rules, but basically Province 1 units can move to Province 2, but no other units can move anywhere else outside of their home. There's some exceptions. If units are in the capital, they can move in their own system and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's the you draw an event. I already drew this event, which gives the rebels some money, steals it from the Empire. Then you go to in each turn is going to go in this sequence. You're going to have a first rebel turn. You're going to have a first Imperial turn, second rebel turn, second Imperial turn. Then you're going to move the turn marker. So in essence, there's like 40 actions, in this game. 40 turns for each side. And so those turns are going to be, you're going to have an operations phase where you move military units. And this won't apply at all for the rebels for probably quite a bit. You're going to have some other steps. I kind of skipped those. You're going to have a search phase, and that means the other player. So on the rebels' turn, the Imperial player can search, if there's any detected rebel characters, we're not going to have that on the first turn because they don't start detected. I mean, they can move if they want, but there's really no reason on the first turn. You see the Imperial setup, and then you set your character groups up. So you're going to set them where you want them to be at. But anyway, if they get detected, then the Imperials can search for them. Then you're going to have this mission phase, and that's where I'm at now. And we're gonna have missions, and the missions are basically, going to be to either improve their power for the rebels, gain more characters or possessions, or do things to help them start a rebellion. And so the game will go back and forth. And again, the rebels are going to try and throw planets into rebellion. That'll throw troops on the planets. The Empire's going to want to squash those as quickly as possible, and so on. And that's kind of the flow of the game. So anyway, all right.